Welcome to our webinar this evening at iRock My Mac, and the title is Organize Your Schedule on a Mac. We're going to jump right into just a few slides and then go straight into the content. So very quick, an introduction to me and iRock My Mac. My name is Seth Marlowe. That's my wife Donna and me right there. We've been married just short of 16 years. We have two daughters, Lauren and Brooke. I'm an entrepreneur, a Rotary board member, a church elder, and a sports nut. So that's a little bit about me, and there's some pictures of me and my family. They're in the bottom left-hand corner. That's Lauren on the left and Brooke on the right. So why I created iRock My Mac is, well, first of all, I thought it'd be fun. As you can see in this picture, I like to have fun and I like whipped cream. But generally, I did this because of a lot of frustration that I endured while learning to use my Mac. I've got about 15 years of experience in demonstrating and teaching software. So I really took that frustration combined with that experience and wanted my own business, and this website's the result. So the website is just now approaching about 150 different videos within 3 tracks: to learn, rock, and quick tips tracks. And all of these videos are grouped by application and by category and then by track. So you can search by something like iPhoto or iTunes, or you can go in and say, well, I just want to look at different ways to organize myself or shop online, however you want to look up content. And then there's lots of free stuff, webinars like the one you're attending right now, videos, blog posts, how-to series, and email series on iMovie. And for those that attend webinars, we provide a 15-day free trial for you to try out the videos. And then if you don't feel like you're getting value out of it, you just cancel and there's no obligation. Subscriptions, if you decide you want a subscription, there's really 2 levels. There's the all videos, learn plus rock level, and then you can add a level that lets you ask questions. This is not like a user forum. These are questions that you ask and I answer. So that way I'm either going to give you the answer. If I don't know the answer, I will go find it and give it to you. You're not going into a forum and submitting a question and getting 20 different answers and you don't even know which ones are right. There's either month to month or annual, and there's no contract. So if you go month to month, you can cancel anytime. And the same thing with year. If you sign up for a year and don't want to renew after a year, that's fine as well. So that takes us right into today's webinar, which is, again, organize your schedule on a Mac. There's 4 things we're going to focus on. We could probably spend hours looking at how to organize a schedule. So we're in 20 minutes going to cover these 4 things. The first of which is just to start using the applications that are there, Address Book and iCal and Mail, to start to set up and use online subscriptions for kids' sports teams, groups you're in, clubs, organizations, etc. Most of those types of entities offer the ability for you to sign up and download subscriptions into iCal. You can create and share multiple calendars with friends and family. So if you've got parents maybe that like to come to your kids' sporting events, you can sign up for a subscription, download all that into a calendar, and then email that to a parent or grandparent, or send it, print it out, take it to them, whatever you want to do. And then last, we'll take a look at just syncing your calendars and contacts with a device. So most Mac users, or a lot of Mac users, have iPhones and or iPads, but really doesn't matter. You sync all this through through iTunes. So whatever type of device you have, that will work. So that is it for our slides. And as I mentioned, we're going to get right into the content here. So we're going to start in Mail, and in Mail we're going to start right here with just a little sample email that I had set up. So the first thing we want to look at is quickly showing and introducing each of these 3 applications. So Mail is the email client that's on your Mac. You can set up and use the Mail and synchronize it with different accounts that you might have. So if you have a Gmail account, a Yahoo Mail, Hotmail, work email, all of those can sync into Mac Mail. You'll notice here in the inbox area, I have multiple accounts set up so they can all sync in together here in Mail. Address Book is the application that you use to organize all of your contacts and your groups, your distribution lists. I don't know Barack Obama or Tiger Woods, but they're set up here in this test group. And then iCal is the calendar that you use. So if we go, I'm going to get into Expose here and find my calendar. So there it is. You'll see all types of different calendars. And again, we're going to cover a few things here, and there's lots of training at iRock My Mac on all 3 of these applications. So if we get back into Mail, I'm going to start off by taking a look at this email. I want to show you some of the things that are just standard within Mac Mail that are really offer you a lot of good reasons to use this. Once you learn how to not only use the features that are in Mail and iCal and Address Book, it's going to save you a ton of time, but the neat thing is the integration between these different applications and how much time that saves you. So let's look at this one email here, and I actually just sent this to myself and said it was from Janet Johnson, but you see all the different pieces of information in here. We're going to a concert. It's at 8 o'clock on Friday night. We've got an address for where the concert is. We've got a couple of cell phone numbers. We've got a flight number in here. We've got a request here to check an email that we got a few weeks ago from our buddy Chad Singleton, and then more information down here underneath Janet Johnson. So the thing that you can, one of the neatest features that you can use in Mail is what's called data detectors. So if I move back up here and you start to see me move my mouse, see how 8 o'clock on Friday night lights up with a little highlight around it? The address here lights up with a highlight around it. The cell phone number here lights up. That cell phone number lights up as well. If we move down here, you see the same thing with these. These are data detectors. So this is data that Mail is detecting, and it knows that it can then do something with it. So if I'm going to a concert this Friday night with Janet and some other people, then I might want to go ahead and throw that into iCal. I've got it right here highlighted. I just left click right here on this data detector, and I choose Create New iCal Event. So that starts an iCal event for me. I could name this Tom Petty Concert. Apologize, my dog is barking in the background. You might be able to hear him. Location, I could go ahead and type this in if I want, but I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm going to put this for 8 o'clock on Friday. We did not say 8 a.m. or p.m. there, so it doesn't really know which one it is. So we'll just go ahead and set it up as p.m. And we'll just go ahead and say this goes until 11 o'clock p.m. So I can set this up in any of the calendars that are in iCal. I can have multiple calendars. You'll see them listed here. So I could choose my Seth calendar if I want. I can remind myself with an alarm either 15 minutes before or hours, days before, or then actually send reminders afterwards and alarms afterwards and add a note. So I can add that into iCal, and I've set that event up right from this email. That's all I had to do. I also have the ability to set up contacts. So if I see this information here, I could create a new contact, but I probably don't want to create a new contact for this because this is the address for where the concert's going to be. But what you'll see there is right now I can choose to show the map. So if I left click there and choose show map, another little built-in feature is that that's going to launch, in this case Firefox, which is my default browser on my Mac, and it's going to open up Google Maps and find that location for me. So while it is doing that and launching, there's a lot of applications open right now. It's going to take a few minutes. We'll come back in here because the other thing that we can do is we can use this address down here maybe to set up a contact card. Now I can see create new contact. If I left click there, that now allows me to fill in Janet Johnson, and it's grabbed the information from the email. So the work phone number, the home phone number, and this was her mobile phone number. It's grabbed her email address, and it's grabbed her address here, and we'll set this up as her home address, and I can add that to Address Book. So that's how quickly I can use data detectors to set up information on my Mac. But I can also use the right click feature on my Mac to do other things. So if I come here, for example, and I look up this US Airways number 345, I could right click now that I've highlighted that, and I could search with Google. So that's going to take me into Safari and look up in Google flight number 345, and I could go track that status. So I can use the integration and right click on my Mac to go look up something like that. And if I come back over here to Mail, maybe I've got last thing, check the email you got from Chad Singleton a few weeks ago. I might say, well, I don't really remember that email, or I don't know where it is in my inbox. I can highlight Chad Singleton. I can right click and I can choose search in Spotlight. And so this will search my entire Mac and find everything on my Mac related to Chad Singleton. I've got the mail message here that has Chad in it that we're looking at right now, that mail message today. But then I have a meeting that I had set up with him for April 25th. I have a contact card that I set up for him, and then I have an email right here for him. If I double click on top of this, that will find that email. So there you go, search all messages for Chad Singleton. I could do a search, but I've already done what I needed to do, and there's the email from Chad that I've located. So those are all types of neat little features built into Mail, both with right clicking and with data detectors that just help you find information and set up information on your Mac. Just is going to get things done a lot more quickly for you. The other thing I could do here is I might want to take this email and forward it to someone else. So if I just want to forward the email, but all I really want to do is just forward it with this sentence, I don't need to send the people that I'm sending it to all this other information. Then if I highlight that sentence first and then I click the forward button, you'll see how it just pulls that sentence out and puts it in what Mail calls a quote. So it slims down the email for me, and then the integration that I have excuse me, between address book and mail, I can type in test 2 and hit enter, and that fills in all of those contacts for me from that distribution list, so I don't have to type those in individually. So there you see some of the features and the integration between address book and mail. Lots of cool ways to organize yourself with your emails and your contacts. We'll just close that down and not save it. The second thing that we talked about was using online subscriptions for teams and groups and clubs and organizations. And you probably saw this over here in Safari that I had several pages already open. So let's pop through these really quickly. So in iCal, rather, let's pop back into iCal. You'll see again, I have multiple calendars. I have a home calendar, an events calendar, a classes calendar, and some others, and I have subscriptions. I'm going to very quickly explain these, but again, there's lots of training at iRock My Mac on how these work. So this is just a club here in Charlotte where I live, and so what I could do is that this is Monday Fun Day. It happens every Monday at this club, so I could come down here. A lot of times when you're looking at events online or something, you'll see either add to iCal or add to calendar. And if I hit add to iCal, what it does is it goes ahead and downloads it, and it says, all right, where do you want me to add these new events? And I could add this maybe into my events calendar and say okay, and that is going to set up a recurring what's called a repeating all-day event for every Monday, August 15th. So if I go to monthly view here, you see how that just drops in each Monday for me automatically. So that is dropped in, but I may not want to set it up that way. I don't want to keep it as an all-day type of event. So I can come here and just double click on top of it, turn it off from an all-day event, and then I can set it up instead of 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I can say this goes every Monday from 8 p.m. to midnight, and I'm going to change it for not just this event but for all events, since this is a repeating event. And we'll put it goes from 8 until 12 a.m. or midnight. You'll see here the time zone, the repeat, and the end. And again, we'll have full training at iRock My Mac on all of this stuff works. But that's how you set up automatically a recurring event straight off of the internet. Now, if I go back over here, the second thing we'll look at, let's close the downloads window here, is that if you have not a recurring event, but you'll see here a schedule. So this is maybe a class that I'm looking to take at a local community college. You'll see all the different class times here. And what I can do is if I scroll down again, I see subscribe to this calendar. So what this does is this does the exact same thing. It downloads it, and I might want to place this in my classes calendar and say okay. And now in the month of August, let's turn off our events calendar. Just kind of clear this off a little bit so you can see it better. There you see all of the different green areas lit up all across August. There's the class schedule for e-learning. So that is a second way to add something into iCal. If we go back to Safari, we'll go to what's called iCalShare.com. This is not an Apple website. It's just a website somebody set up. But you'll see all types of different calendars, including popular things and categories. So a lot of people use this for setting up things like holidays that they want to put into their calendar, or news or political events or things like that, or sports schedules. So if you are a sports fan, maybe you've got your big, let's see what the first one that pulls up here, the Centerville Elks football 2011. Let's do the Chicago Bears here. So what we can do is download the Chicago Bears schedule straight from this website. Again, we just left click, we choose subscribe to calendar. Now see a difference here. This time, instead of it asking what calendar it wants to drop these events into, it's actually going to set up a subscription calendar down here under subscriptions. So it tells us that calendar URL. It's a long name with a bunch of letters and numbers. We don't need to worry about that. But then it pulls it up a different looking screen here. So the name of this subscription calendar, Bears 2011-012, subscribe to. We don't really need to worry about any of these things here. You can leave all these as they are. And then you can set this up to refresh. So the football schedule probably shouldn't change. But if a game gets canceled or something because of weather, you could have this go out maybe every day or every week and go ahead and check for any updates and refresh itself. And when I say OK to this, and I close down classes, now we have all of the Chicago Bears games. You'll notice them here all throughout the months of the NFL season. So I've subscribed to that calendar. So that is different. That's a subscription calendar that's listed here instead of dropping those events inside of a calendar. And then the last two examples here, Apple downloads. We won't go through the download process, but this is Apple's page. Let's actually back up to iCal, show you that you can get here by going under calendar and find subscriptions. That will take you to this web page right here. And then this web page has alphabetical, most popular, and most recent. Same type of thing here that you can go through and look up some searches and download some information directly into iCal, including things like holidays. The last thing I wanted to show you is this is a thing that I use all the time. This is my daughter's travel softball team schedule, and the travel season's just starting, but typically this is a long schedule here with a bunch of practices and games. And so what I can do is they have a subscription capability right there. You subscribe subscribe to an iCal feed for this schedule. So you do the exact same thing that we did with the Chicago Bears schedule. But now what I have is if I unclick this and a left click there, then back up to August, you will see that that calendar will fill in for me with all of the information and all of the practices and games automatically. I don't have to go and type and set up all of the stuff. And the other thing that's neat about it, if we click on it and then we right click and we choose Get Info, is that we can set this up just like the Chicago Bears schedule to refresh. So with her season, every year practices get canceled or moved because of weather. Same thing with games, tournaments, all types of different changes. So all I have to do is set this up to refresh every day, and all of this will refresh automatically, and this subscription will stay up to date. I don't ever have to key in any of these practices or games. So a huge time saver if you've got kids, especially on sports teams. And there we go. We just got an iCal alarm for our Monday fun day for tonight, but we're in the middle of doing a webinar, so we can't go. All right, so that is setting up the online subscriptions, a huge time saver for you. And I'm going to show you in a second how to then download and sync this calendar right to your iPhone or iPad. So the third thing we're going to look at is then sharing calendars with friends and family. And there's two ways that you can take these calendars and share them out. So instead of always having to reply to emails and type all this information out, what you can do is say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take Brooks' softball schedule here, and I do this. We do this every season. My wife and I, one of us will do this, is once the schedule's been filled in, then we go up to File and we choose Print. And then in here we have the ability to choose either a day, week, month, or a list. So if we choose the list, you'll see right here that it starts today and ends after how many days. If I choose, for example, week, like that, then that'll be week by week, as you'll notice there. And then I can choose when it starts and when it ends. So you can just choose whatever layout you like best. You can zoom in to these layouts. As you'll notice here, I'm going to scroll down so you can see that a little better. So that one just gives the practice, who the coach is, and then the location. But if I go to something like list here and I choose that I'm going to put in the next several days, you'll see there just kind of populating the calendar. And now if I zoom in, there's more information for each one of these events. So what we'll do is just set this up. We'll include maybe the Cobra's fall season. If our other daughter has a schedule or whatever, we'll just build out these subscription calendars. Go ahead and check all the boxes that we want to include in this printout. Hit continue, and this will take us to the ability where we can either just print out a hard copy and take it to them. But the neat thing is we can just come right here to PDF and we can mail a PDF. Just left click right there, choose mail PDF. It's going to churn this calendar into a PDF. There it is. It started an email. I could have, again, a folder or a group set up for family, and now I can send this email that's a PDF right here. It's actually displaying the entire PDF for you, but you can right click on top of a PDF and choose view as icon. So there it is as an icon. I could go to the beginning, hit return a few times, and say here is Brooks' schedule. So we talked our way through this, but actually, if I wasn't talking you through this, this literally takes you about 15 seconds. You get the whole calendar set up, you go into print, you send out an email, you shoot it off, you're done. You've saved all of that time of constantly having to tell people what to do. Now, if things change, maybe every week, you can just come right back in and reprint and resend out those calendars. Now there is the ability, if you're a little more techie, if you go back over here to calendar, we can choose publish. So if we had like a home calendar here, we go under calendar and we can choose publish. Then I can take this calendar and publish it either on MobileMe or to a private server if you have a website or something like that. Now Apple is releasing a service called iCloud, and in the future iCloud will probably do a lot of this stuff here in terms of publishing out calendars. So right now my wife and I, we still just kind of print and email things out, or really we don't really print. We just send soft copies by email to our parents, the grandparents of our kids. So that's sharing calendars with friends and family. And then the last thing here, to try to keep it at about 20 minutes or so of content, is to sync these calendars and contacts with your devices, and you do that through iTunes. So in iTunes, when you plug up your device here, there's my cell phone. If I go over here to info, I have the ability to sync address book contacts and sync iCal calendars. So I can choose all of my contacts or selected groups that I sync, in this case to my iPhone. I can add contacts created outside of groups in this iPhone to what? So what that means is that if I create a contact on my iPhone, when I sync it through iTunes, what group should iTunes or my Mac add it into in Address Book on my Mac. So I'm setting this up to say when I add new contacts on my iPhone, sync them to my Mac and put them in my primary network folder. You'll notice I can sync my Yahoo Address Book contacts and my sync my Google contacts as well. So that those are set up and I can do that. The other thing that you'll see here is the ability to sync calendars. So if I scroll down here and I choose selected calendars, scroll down, there's the Cobra's fall season right there. There's the bear season right there. So I can basically take these calendars and sync them straight to my phone so that every time they update, then these update as well. Now this is a hard sync, so you'd have to update it through the syncing process unless you use MobileMe. So through MobileMe you can do this. It's a little kludgy to set it all up, and again I hope iCloud makes this easier to do. But if you plug your phone to your Mac pretty often, then every time you do so and open up iTunes, it's going to sync through and pick up all those changes and make sure that those things get synced over for you. So that's how you share your calendars, or I'm sorry, sync your calendars and contacts with your devices. It's straight through iTunes. And again, we have training on this, all of this stuff at iRock My Mac. There's the address book training was added today. If we go to, let's just pop into iRock My Mac real quick so you can see this. So here's the iRock My Mac website, and we will go right here under videos, and you'll see my application. And there's address book there. I can learn address book. And there's mail. I can learn mail. And iCal will be added this week on Wednesday. The videos were done today. Monday the 15th. They will be added on Wednesday the 17th. So address book, mail, and iCal will all be there, but you can go into any one of these and watch multiple videos on how all of this stuff works because we've flown through it pretty quickly here. So that's about our 20 minutes of content. I want to take some questions here, some questions that have come in. So the first question that we're going to look at is someone's asked, what is iCloud and what's the difference with MobileMe? So iCloud, Apple announced, I think it was a couple of months ago. Let's just do a quick Google search on iCloud. They announced it a couple of months ago. It's pretty imminent. It may even be out. I haven't checked in the last few days, but I know it's pretty imminently coming out, or it just has come out. And so there you go, coming this fall. So it hasn't been released yet, but it is the replacement for MobileMe. To pretty much be brutally honest, MobileMe just was not a success for Apple. Steve Jobs has said that a few times. I think his quote was, "It's not exactly their shining moment or their proudest moment," or something like that. It takes a long time to set it up. It's kludgy in how it works. It's inconsistent. So I think they've just redone all of it with iCloud. And so in terms of what iCloud is, it's kind of back to what the cloud is. And what that means is that your information is stored on the internet on a server somewhere. It could be anywhere in the world. And you are directly accessing that information through a wireless device, an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac, and downloading and synchronizing as you see fit on a specific basis. So what iCloud will do is that it will take a lot of these applications such as iTunes and Address Book and Mail and iCal and synchronize them together and have all the information synchronized up in the cloud that you can then send information up to that information that's stored at the server, download it down, sync it in real time, share it with other people. So that's kind of what we hope it ends up being, but hopefully it ends up being better than MobileMe, and effectively it's a replacement of MobileMe. So hopefully that answered your question. The next question was, how do I import contacts to Address Book? So I think what you mean is instead of syncing, if we go to Address Book and we go to Preferences here, so you can synchronize your contacts with Google or Yahoo or MobileMe, but you may have contacts in a spreadsheet or some side database somewhere, or Hotmail or something like that is not set up here with a synchronization capability. So what you want to do is wherever that is, wherever it resides, you want to export those contacts out in a .csv file format. So CSV stands for comma separated values. And so once you export them out and get them into that file format of comma separated values, you want to get that onto your Mac. And then once it's onto your Mac, if we close down accounts here, we can go to File and you can choose Import. So import is, I'm going to import in contacts. It's going to look for a specific file somewhere. I haven't done this, but you just find the file and you choose Open. Now when you do that, and there's actually a training that's in the Address Book Learn track, is that you have to go through a process of matching up what's called the headers. So the information that's in that exported file, that .csv file, has got information tied to headers. So a header would be something like first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip, etc. And so you've got to make sure that when you do the import process that those headers are matched up with the headers in the way that Address Book sets them up so that everything synchronizes across properly and you don't end up with an email address in a street field or a street field in a state field or something like that. So it can be a little tricky, and it's something that you would want to create backup copies and those types of things before you kind of take everything in and overwrite anything. But again, there's a video on how to do that at iRock My Mac. So I'm going to cancel that and go back to Address Book and check and see other questions. Okay, the next question is how to set up to-dos and reminders. Very good question. So the to-dos and reminders, we looked at setting up events. To-dos and reminders in these three applications are really kind of weak. They're not very strong. If we close down this email here and don't save it, there is a to-dos area that I think I've actually turned off here. I just don't use it, and the reason why is that I use a third-party application called Things. So there is a to-dos area here. There's also a to-dos area over in iCal. You may have seen it over here on the right-hand side. I think if I turn on Home or Events here, a couple of things will pop up, or maybe Seth. There you go. You see some different to-dos that are popping up over here. So you do have the ability to set up to-dos here, but again, it's pretty weak. I don't know a whole lot of people that use these features and capabilities in iCal or Mail. So if you go and Google, we go back to, I think we had a Google page open here. Yeah, there we go. Or we can just Google up here. If you Google something like task management on a Mac, then you should get some listing. Well, there you go. Things is the first one that's listed. That's what I use. I think it was $29 or $39, but it's a task management piece of software. It integrates right into the Mac. So if we go back here and open up our email, and I want to go ahead and set up a to-do here, if I kind of go over across the top of all that and just then right click, you'll notice that I can choose new to do, and that will set up a to do actually right inside of Things, and then that can sync right over to my iPhone and set up reminders and those types of things. So the to do capability is a little weak, and you may want to look at third-party applications to do that. Next question, how many email accounts can I sync to Mail? All right, so if we're back here in Mail. The answer is I don't think there's a limit. So if you go back into Mail preferences here, you can set up under the accounts. You'll notice that I've got a bunch of them set up here. So if I haven't reached a limit yet, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 set up in here. So I don't think there's any limit to the number of accounts that you can set up in Mail each time. You just need information. You'll need a bit of information in here depending on what type it is. And so what I mean by that is if I hit add here down in the bottom left hand corner and I just put in my full name, my email address, and my password, oftentimes, especially if it's Gmail or it's Yahoo Mail or Hotmail or something like that, the more commonly used ones, when you hit continue, it'll actually pull up and pick out the information it knows it needs and set up the account for you. It's very easy. Sometimes you will actually need to go get that information, and so whatever that email account is, if it didn't set it up automatically, you just want to go in the help area with that mail service and try to get the information. If we hit cancel here, you'll need things like the incoming server mail address. You see right there, imap.gmail.com. Your username and your password, actually you should know. You'll need the outgoing mail server, things like that. So you can set up as many different accounts, I believe, as you want inside of Mail. And then as you saw before, you can choose any one of these by just left clicking it here. These are the different accounts here. Or I can just go up to inbox, and all of the email accounts are all listed here, and you'll see them over here on the right hand side. I have a column turned on to display by mailbox. So that's how all of them can be synchronized down into a single view here in Mail, and that's actually one of the neat features of Mail, is that you've got one place where all of your email syncs right into, instead of having to go and log into multiple accounts. And then the last question that we'll do here, because we're just about out of time: how do I delete a subscription? All right, so if we go back over to iCal, we had checked and turned on a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to keep this subscription actually because season's starting up. But if we just go here to the Bears subscription, and see as I highlight this, I could change the name. It lights up there, or I can check or uncheck to display it. And see those games popping up there on the right hand side. And if I want to delete this, I just right click right here on top of this subscription and come down and choose delete, and that will delete it right out. So that's fairly simple. Now if I wanted to delete, I think we set up here in events, was where we set up our Monday Fun Day thing. So let's turn off these other things here. So we should have just our events in here. Here we go. Here's our Monday Fun Day thing. Now, if I want to delete, for example, this out, even though it's in here multiple times, I don't need to go delete each one of these. If I double click on top of it, because it's a repeating event, you'll notice right there it's repeating every week. If I close this down, now if I've just got that one event highlighted and I hit delete, what it's going to do is pop up and ask me, do I want to delete just this event, or because this is a repeating event, do I want to delete all occurrences of this event? So I don't know if this probably wasn't what your question was, but hopefully this helps everyone, is that I can choose delete all, and that's not a subscription, but that's deleting all instances of a specific event. If I left click there, you'll see all of them go away. Even if I advance forward, all those Monday Fun Days are gone. And if I had set up a bunch of individual classes like this, if I delete that, those I'm going to have to delete one at a time. So you want to be careful with setting those up. If you've set this up into a classes calendar, as you notice here, and it's just got a bunch of information in here you don't need, and you really didn't mean to do that, you might just be best off right clicking and deleting this calendar and then starting over again. So if I left click here and choose delete, because I don't need any of this stuff, then I can come right down here, hit the add button. I can add a new calendar called classes. And I can re-add that information. If I right click here on classes and choose get info, I can set this right back to being green. All right, so that's how you delete a subscription and then delete a recurring event. I think that takes us right to about 30 minutes. We started a few minutes late, but there you go. I think I closed down the keynote presentation, but this was a lot of quick information. This recording will be uploaded to the website either tonight or tomorrow, so that you can watch this again if you need to and pause, because we went through a lot of stuff. But hopefully this helps you get started with schedule and organizing of that schedule. And again, there's a lot of other things that you can do. So I encourage you to go to iRock My Mac. If we flip back over here into Safari, we'll wrap up with this. Is if I come back to iRock My Mac, one of the things you might want to check out is to come here underneath videos, and instead of by application, you can go by category. And here under category, I can go to organize. And I can come right down here and I can choose organize your life, and this will pop up and give you multiple videos here that are all about organizing your life. And when the iCal videos get dropped in, this list will expand as well. So hope this helped, and thanks for joining.